What's going on, dudes and dudettes? So yeah, it looks like Boogie Ellis put out an official release with USC basketball social media and his Instagram and all that social media stuff, where he thanked the college and pretty much everybody involved in his process coming out, and is officially going in to the NBA draft. I guess he could have maybe stayed another year, which would have been crazy because it had already been like 5 years in college and multiple transfers, but I think this is what's best off for him and his career. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing where he goes and ends up down the line. But yeah, congrats on a pretty successful career at USC, Boogie Ellis. And then one of the top 4-star California linebackers, Noah McHale, did set up an official visit for June the 7th through the 9th for USC. So yeah, of course, like I said, that 7th through the 9th, or 20-something to the 20-something, any of those weeks in June look like the big time bashes that they're having. So yes, to get one of the top guys in there, I think he only has 3 set up and USC is the first one. But like I said, if they're gonna get him in at least on one of those days, it's definitely looking like a good sign for USC to be able to get him. So hoping that does end up happening in the near future. And there was a 4-star 2025 edge/linebacker player and Marco Jones, who recently put out a final 10, which included USC. So that was big time. I believe he's a sort of local Southern California guy as well. So yeah, definitely very excited to see where they end up, because he definitely mentioned recently that he believes they have the best defensive coaches out there. So yes, hoping to maybe get his commitment at some point soon. And there was a 2025 4-star offensive tackle, Nick Brooks. I believe we recently talked about him, but he also did cut his list down to 6 schools, and it looks like USC made the cut there as well. So yeah, looking good for one of the more talented offensive tackles out there in the class of 2025. So looking forward to that. Then there was a 2026 number 2 overall 4-star tight end in Brock Harris, who I believe is going to be visiting USC on his unofficial visit. He's going to have a lot of unofficial visits this summer, but luckily USC is one of them, and I think it will be that spring game that's happening this Saturday. So be able to get him in along with other recruits that are in the 2025 class and his class of 2026. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing how many guys they can get from this group that'll be on campus this weekend. And a recent defensive lineman has entered the transfer portal from USC. His name is Stanley Ta'ufo-Oyu. Hopefully I'm saying that correct. He was sort of in and out the past couple of years. I thought he would have transferred out last season, but he decided to stick around and apparently had some more eligibility left, so is transferring. Maybe he knows that they're going to end up getting another talented player at his position, so he's just leaving already in the spring. But yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing who they bring in if that is the case. And yes, some big time news for Duke, that their top leader and senior who returned, Jeremy Roach, is looking to not only enter the NBA draft, but is also looking to enter the portal as well. So kind of like the Bronny James effect that happened with USC, where he's going to test out the draft waters, and if he doesn't hear what he likes, then he will most likely return to college, but to a different team. So yeah, it does suck. It's the end of an era for one of their top captains, especially the past couple of seasons at Duke. But yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing how his future holds up. Just don't go to one of the rivals or anything like that. I heard maybe Arkansas, Kentucky are high up on the list of teams that want him, but know exactly where he wants to go. I believe he's from like that Virginia, Maryland area. So we'll see where he ends up. But congrats on a great career at Duke, and good luck to you, buddy. And then Austin Rivers, an ex-Duke player. He's an analyst, so he kind of pops up on ESPN. And I think he had this quote from CBS Sports when talking to them, saying that he kind of wonders if the Team USA team will add incoming top freshman Cooper Flagg, who is considered the #1 player in high school right now, but also could be the #1 pick in next year's NBA draft, which is still crazy because he should be technically be going to his senior year in high school right now, and then going to college, and then being in the NBA draft. But of course, right now he's a year prior to all of those. But I guess it kind of makes sense because even Anthony Davis sort of did that but this was even before Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis won the title with Kentucky, and then that same summer before the draft went on Team USA and got some cleanup duty and barely played when they were in France when he was really young as a rookie heading into the NBA. But this would be a year before, because I know the main dream team with like Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley, all those guys that had Christian Laettner, the one college guy who was obviously considered the best player, not only at Duke, but in all of college basketball at the time. Shaq would probably disagree with that while being at LSU. But either way, they've done this where they kind of added someone like that. So maybe they might, maybe they won't. I don't know if he can technically go because he might have to be of a certain age, and he's already a year prior for a lot of his stuff anyway. So who knows if he will technically be eligible to go to the Olympics, but you never know. And apparently the Chargers were at one of the pro days for one of my favorite defensive players, a defensive lineman from Illinois. I believe his real name is Jerzon Newton, but everybody calls him Johnny Newton. I think I would have selected him at 5 if it were up to me, before this college season. Yes, he did suffer an injury, which is why he's kind of being selected late first, early second, and all that good stuff, but he's still considered one of the better players. And yes, I was happy to see that they were there at least looking at him. And then I believe at some point this week they are hosting 2 Michigan players, a linebacker leader in Junior Colson and the defensive lineman Chris Jenkins, who I believe his father played in the NFL as well. But they're both very talented players. Don't know why they're being selected like in the 2nd or 3rd round when they won a championship and they're that talented. But to have the Chargers be able to get them in those later rounds instead of having them to go in the first, I think would be pretty awesome. And I did see too that this is like the final week that you could have all those players out there for their pre-draft visit or whatever they call it, because obviously next week on Thursday is when the draft starts. So yes, of course, definitely looking forward to that. That's pretty much like my Christmas, my Super Bowl. So yes, I'm always looking forward to that. And obviously it was the big play-in game for the Lakers versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Luckily, they had to play at New Orleans again, so they just stayed there from Sunday. They didn't really travel back to LA, and it might have helped because they got that victory 110-106, very close. D'Angelo Russell had 21 points, 7 assists, and a really big time 3 to put them up by like 4 at the time, I believe, to kind of keep this cushion to go into the rest of the game. And they hit a bunch of their free throws at the end. I think they hit like 10 straight free throws in a row, something like that, maybe even more. But yeah, they could have lost this game like how a lot of people wanted them to maybe face an easier team in the playoffs, OKC instead of Denver. But yes, that is who they get now going into the playoffs, the number 2 seed versus the number 7 seed, which is what they are now. And they're looking forward to it. They definitely want a redo after what happened last year in the Western Conference Finals, and they've been one of the better teams during clutch games this year, having a really good record. And obviously a lot of those games against Denver in that Western Conference Finals were really close, but the Lakers just never could pull away and end up getting those victories. But hoping they can win at least a couple this time around. And yeah, sadly, Zion Williamson, ex-Duke guy for the Pelicans, had a great game. He had 40 points, I think, at the time of his injury, which took him out the rest of the game, which was about like a minute or 2 left. And that kind of definitely took the sails out of the ship for the Pelicans, because they were answering the Lakers back and forth. It was going down to the wire, and then he gets hurt, and then all of a sudden they weren't able to match the Lakers scoring their 2-pointers. So yeah, either way, it was a great game. Lakers were up high, let it come down close. Luckily, they just kept that lead going for most of the game. So yeah, it's definitely looking forward to seeing them play against Denver. Again, don't know exactly if it's this Saturday or Sunday they start playing. It could be even Monday. You never know. But either way, hopefully they rest up, get ready to go up in that high altitude, try to get some upset wins out there to be able to at least get all your home victories down there in LA. So yeah, looking forward to the playoffs starting soon. Thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.